Hey guys, so Iran just attacked Israel. An incredible or terrible attack on the basically the entire country. And I wanted to bring you guys what the heck is going on over here. So let's check out some footage from the missiles. And okay, Iran is raining rocket attack on Israel. Remember when Israel answers back, and they will answer back. Hold on. Like they're Israel, which is terrible. Yeah, you can see endless videos. A lot of these are similar videos of base Israel. Iran, hundreds of missiles. People are saying this is the biggest attack in decades. This is another crazy video. Those are coming in incredibly fast. A lot of them are hitting. A lot of them are getting taken out by the Iron Dome. Israel is under an insane attack right now by Iran. This would not have happened if Trump was president. This November, we must bring back mean tweets and world peace. I think Ben Shapiro is doing a live stream right now. Check it out. Hold on. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is doing a live stream.
House says that Vice President Harris and President Biden, presumably the real President Joe, are monitoring the Iranian attack against Israel from the White House Situation Room. And to his credit, President Biden directed the U.S. military to aid Israel's defense against Iranian attacks and shoot down missiles that were targeting Israel. Meanwhile, parents are finally exiting the safe rooms where they were gathered with their children, reading them books and showing them movies as the sirens went off. It is just astonishing that a modern Western state, Israel is a modern Western state, is forced to undergo this at the hands of a terror regime that has been handed billions of dollars by the United States and its allies. We now have news on the two terrorists who launched this mass attack.
Yeah, there was a terrible attack, a terrorist attack, moments before the Iranian missile attack. There was two terrorists that killed 4 Israelis and injured many others.
Casualty attack in Jaffa. Apparently, they were Palestinians from Hebron, which is Hebron. Security forces did kill both of them. So they were from the West Bank. They were coming from an area that is particularly radicalized. Again, if you haven't been following, we're bringing you continuous updates on the mass attack on the state of Israel from the terror republic of Iran. A senior Pentagon official trying to forestall Israeli action has now told Sky News in Arabic Tehran informed international officials about the size and timing of the expected attack on Israel. That doesn't change one thing. It does not change one thing. Simply announcing to the Americans that you're going to, just shoot a few missiles at Israel does not make it not a crime, does not make it not an act of terror. It is a fool's errand. They're playing the same game that Hassan Nasrallah was playing just before his head imploded. It turns out that if you continue to think that you can...
Yeah, I think that what he's hinting out here is that Iran is trying to essentially attack Israel, but not too much. They don't want to escalate too much. They don't want to end up in a situation where Israel responds with possibly destroying their entire nuclear facility, destroying their entire oil infrastructure, all this other stuff that they need. So they're trying to basically play both games, attack Israel a little bit, but not like this, kill anyone or not do anything crazy, or not, inflict crazy damage to end up in a terrible war and end up getting directly attacked back by Israel.
Tug on Superman's cape, so to speak, and spit into the wind, in the words of Jim Croce. Tug the mask on that old Lone Ranger, but you don't mess around with the Israeli Air Force. That is a very, very bad idea.
All right. So he's basically...
The Islamic Republic is still pretending this is a first wave, but again, Home Front Command in Israel would not be telling people they could leave their bomb shelters unless they were fairly certain that they were done, at least for the moment.
All right, so the attack seems to be relatively over, but you can see Iran hit Jordan by mistake. That makes sense. Not necessarily are their missiles so up to date, but again, Israel has to spend. Hold on. Israel has to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on each Iron Dome rocket to knock them down. And that's why these terrorist regimes are keeping to send their rockets, because they know that they're inflicting a lot of financial burden on Israel and America. At least 100 missiles launched at Israel. It's looking like it's even more. Hillel Fold is saying this is the end of Iran. I don't know if it is, because I'm not sure that Israel will respond, with the aggression, because the Americans will say, oh, look, they didn't kill anyone, or, oh, look, well, it could be they did kill one or multiple people, but be, oh, it wasn't so bad, not that many people were killed, or some crazy thing, or, oh, they alerted us already, something like that, and then they'll be like, raining in Israel. Khomeini is saying, in the name of, I offer my congratulations, condolences, okay. Brigadier General, he's talking about, he's just talking about that. Let's see what Donald J. Trump is saying. He just released an interesting ad.
So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. China also saw their weakness. So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. Hamas saw Harris' anti-Israel statements and will use it as a green light to keep murdering Israelis. And Iran thinks Harris is so incompetent. New intel shows they're trying to help Harris win the election. America doesn't need another TikTok performer. We need the strength that will protect us.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So he posted that right after, in the beginning of the attack. Obviously, that's something that, can help him win over some votes. Let's go back to Ben Shapiro.
From the vice president, and we have yet to hear directly from the vice president of the United States and the current Democratic presidential candidate. Just a few vague statements. We are still waiting to hear from the president of the United States as well. The Israeli government is making clear that this is not going to go without an answer. People, by the way, who are arguing that because no one died, Israel should not respond. It's like saying if someone comes into your house and tries to stab you and they fail, then you should probably let them go. And once again, the only confirmed casualty from the Iranian missile attack is a Palestinian man from a West Bank village near Jericho who was killed, according to Avi Meir, when missile fragments fell on him following their interception. Presumably, Israel is already in the air. So, there was an earlier report, by the way, of a possibility of terrorists in another hotel in the city of Herzliya. That turned out not to be true. Again, just to rewind, so people know the timeline here. Iran had earlier attacked Israel after Israel killed killed Ismail Haniyeh, who's the political head of Hamas. They had killed Haniyeh. Iran responded by then firing off 300 drones and missiles at the state of Israel. Israel shot down virtually all of them, or they dropped into Iranian territory. Israel then proceeded to, over the course of the last 2.5 weeks, completely eviscerate the forward operating base for Iran in the region. That would be Hezbollah, in the most spectacular military operation, perhaps of our lifetimes, completely eviscerating and destroying the upper echelons of Hezbollah. Because Israel, just within the last 48 hours, has now unleashed troops in southern Lebanon to perform specific operations. They have not lost anyone in southern Lebanon, thank God, so far. Hezbollah, by the way, did, at the same time that Iran was launching missiles, launch a barrage of Fadi 4 missiles at the State Dove.
Dreadful Spiller is saying, thank Biden for giving Iran the money, Trump wouldn't.
And the lack of success by Israel's enemies does not mean that Israel's enemies are somehow harmless.
Yeah, that's a great point made by Ben Shapiro, that although Iran didn't necessarily kill anyone, or maybe they killed 1 or 2 people in this attack, doesn't mean that they're harmless. If Israel and America didn't have a great missile defense system and didn't invest billions of dollars in protecting Israel, then essentially there would be thousands of casualties. And Iran doesn't have the same thing. Iran will let its civilians die because they're sick terrorist bastards.
Apparently, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, he's the defense minister in Israel, spoke with the American Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. The two apparently discussed Iran's intentions to attack coordinating these attacks? Why is Iran warning of these attacks in advance? Presumably because they're still playing the same stupid game. Now, Peter Zeihan, who's a geopolitical analyst, he's been suggesting, again, that there's a lot of pre-coordination of these attacks. Yes, and the idea here is that Israel will be deterred from further action by an attack like this as a game of tit for tat. As Israel's attacks on Hezbollah have shown, the game of tit for tat is now over. Israel is tired of this. Israel is no longer going to allow its population to live underground on a semi-permanent basis, nor are they going to live under the imminent threat of Iranian nuclear weapon. And so any attempts to pre-coordinate this in the hopes that that would buy off the Israeli military, very, very, very unlikely at this point in time. And for those just joining us, about try and figure out the time change here. About an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, these missile attacks started. President Trump has now issued a statement, quote, "The world is on fire and spiraling out of control. We have no leadership, no one running the country. We have a non-existent president in Joe Biden and a completely absent Vice President Kamala Harris, who's too busy fundraising in San Francisco, a city which she and Gavin Newsom totally destroyed, and staging fake photo ops. No one is in charge. It's not even clear who is more confused, Biden or Kamala. Neither has any idea what is even going on. When I was president, Iran was in total check. They were starved for cash, fully contained, desperate to make a deal. Kamala flooded them with American cash, and ever since, they've been exporting terror all over, unraveling the Middle East. Under President Trump, we had no war in the Middle East, no war in Europe, harmony in Asia, no inflation, no Afghanistan catastrophe. Instead, we had peace. Now, war or the threat of war is raging everywhere, and the two incompetents running this country are leading us to the brink of World War III. You wouldn't trust Joe or Kamala to run a lemonade stand, let alone the free world. It is no surprise Iran desperately wants Kamala Harris to be president. They know as long as she's in power, they can take advantage of America. That is why they've tried to target me. By the way, that part is 100% true. Iran clearly is begging for a Kamala Harris presidency.
Yeah, and they tried multiple times actually to kill the President Donald Trump. Even Khomeini released a propaganda video, which I can show you now. Trump on the golf course. They released an unbelievable propaganda video. Hold on. Basically showing that Iran kills Trump on a golf course. Hold on. I don't know if it's going to show it here. But, okay, so there is no, I can't find this. But essentially they released a propaganda video showing Trump getting killed by Iran on the golf course that he was recently actually targeted at. And that just shows that they really want him finished. They want him gone.
You would imagine the oil fields in Iran, which of course is something that they should do, and not all that many points of leverage with regards to Iran. The oil fields are definitely one of them. Just checking the latest headlines at this point. Apparently,
Jews living in America, Thor, God of Thunder writes, Jews living in America better support and vote for Trump. Otherwise, Israel will be destroyed under Kamala Chameleon. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Israel, Jews in America better vote for Trump. And the proof of that is that Israelis are very pro-Trump, with a poll coming out recently that Israelis support Trump like 70% to 30%, showing that he has incredible support in Israel among Israelis, but American Jews don't see the truth. They have Trump derangement syndrome across the board. Let's go back to live.
Apparently, people in central Israel have been told they should remain near bomb shelters just in case at this point. And Israel is waiting for a second round is the possibility. So, again, we'll have to see how all of this plays out. We're still awaiting a press conference that was supposed to happen from the White House a little while ago. It was delayed, presumably because of the current events that are happening right now. Again, the videos, if you haven't seen them, we'll play them again. The videos that are happening right now are absolutely incredible of these missiles falling across the state of Israel. The videos demonstrate just the extent of the level of the firing. Tons of firing. These assets striking on the ground in Israel.
I want to show you the view from Iran, how, when Iran fired them. There's a video out there. All right, these more videos of Israel firing into Israel. There was a video showing We Are Iran launch sound. This is nothing new for Israelis. They've dealt with this for years. I mean, it is obviously terrible already. Rocket launch. Okay, so they're falling, and it looks like the first wave is over. There might be a second wave. They're telling their citizens to possibly go back. Okay, let's go back to the live stream.
Been fighting the Houthis. We have the USS Frank Peterson, the USS Michael Murphy, the USS Stockdale, the USS Spruance, and we have a bunch of ships in the Gulf of Oman as well. So the U.S. Navy is well positioned to provide support if necessary. Although, again, I think very unlikely that Israel is going to require support in whatever retaliatory attack they're about to unleash. We do have some video of the aftermath of the missiles hitting. Here's what it looked like. You can see some sites were, in fact, struck. Some damage was done because everybody was in the Mamad, the safe room, or underground. There were no human casualties, but damage, of course, was done, property damage. Meanwhile, here's some video of Palestinians doing what they very frequently do, rejoicing at the sight of human suffering, unfortunately. Here are Palestinians who are very excited in the Gaza Strip, chanting in favor of Iran.
You remember, this has happened multiple times. 9/11, they celebrated. October 7th, they celebrated like crazy. So anyone saying that they don't support Hamas is delusional.
Again, if these are folks who wanted a better future, at some point they might want to stop siding with Iranian terrorists and Iranian terror proxies. Meanwhile, a missile apparently has allegedly landed in Jordan as well. Here's what that missile looks like. And these are large ordnance. I mean, these are not small weapons. This one landed in.
All right, so there was a missile attack, and ILFYF writes, in the last hour, 2 armed Muslims came out of a mosque in Jaffa, Israel, boarded a train and took the lives of 8 innocent people who just wanted to get home from a mosque, a place of worship. That's a great point. I didn't know that 8 lives were taken. That's terrible. And the reports are that many more are injured. So hopefully they get that situation figured out, and, prayers with the families. Terrible.
In Jordan. Jordan, of course, is not a country at war with Iran at the moment. Now, as you can imagine, the squad is Semitic, who's kicked out of the Labour Party in Britain. You have to be pretty anti-Semitic to do that. Jeremy Corbyn tweeted, Israel's decision to send troops into Lebanon, a sovereign nation, is not a limited ground invasion. It is a limited ground operation. It's an invasion. Well, actually, no. It's a retaliatory response to southern Lebanon being used as a launching ground for rockets. The attempt by all fans of the Iranian terror regime to switch the arrow in terms of blame here is quite astonishing. Outgoing Congressman Jamal Bowman, who's defeated in a primary because he's awful, despite his roid rage press conferences, he tweeted, as Israel bombards Lebanon, countless American citizens are trapped with their lives endangered. Commercial flights are next to non-existent. The State Department must recognize this and immediately begin evacuating U.S. citizens. And none of this is shock from Rashida Tlaib. Again, all of this comes amid an incredibly fraught election.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. I don't think Biden or Kamala or any of these people actually care about the so-called innocent Palestinians. It's much more about the fact that they have an election coming up and they don't want to see an escalation. So they don't care about Iran. They don't care about any of these things. But at the end of the day, they can't have an escalation in their, right before, because then it gives Trump the one up, saying, "Oh, look what happened when Kamala was in charge. There was this massive war. So that just looks terrible on them, and that's why they're basically betraying Israel, because they look at it like, okay, maybe we care more about Israel, but at the end of the day, we gotta win this election, and then we can maybe help Israel, but not necessarily do they care about Israel, and not necessarily do they care enough about Israel to abandon their goal of not having any escalation, and they think that Israel should just give in to the terrorists because, they have to win this election. But Israel has to say, fuck your election, fuck your your priorities. We have people to save, and we don't want our civilians to die. Starsky says, sleep well, Iran. Tehran is the next Gaza. Do you have any brains in your Muslim countries? Yes, Tehran is going to probably be attacked. Vishwas Ra'in says Israel stays strong. Yeah, they will. Hopefully.
This election is incredible.
All right.
That's the supreme leader. And that's going to set everything in motion for a much wider war in the Middle East. But I think they've just said, the Israelis have said, we're done with this, enough. The same thing they've done with Hezbollah, same thing they did with Hamas. And, to be very candid with you, Sandra, it's probably about time. This is time and needs to be brought to some type of conclusion. If we're not going to help them conclude it, then they're going to have to do it on their own. That's probably what they're going to try and do.
And again, that last point where he says that Israel's going to conclude it on its own, of course, they're a state. They should have the ability to defend themselves. The idea that this is going to turn into a quote-unquote wider war. Wider than what? That is my big question here. Wider than what? Who's going to get in who hasn't already gotten in? Syria doesn't want in. Syria does not want to have a hostile Israel on their border, ready to take out large armed divisions. Iran's projected power is all ballistic missiles. They've lost their projected power in terms of immediate borders by losing Hamas and losing Hezbollah. So very difficult to see what they could do other than larger missile barrages like this one that has been unsuccessful thus far. So when people say it's going to broaden how, which countries are not involved that will become involved at this point? It's the reason why I sort of oppose many of the talking points that are being put out about how this is going to escalate into a larger war. Escalate how? I need an explanation of what that larger war looks like that has not already been unleashed at this point. Meanwhile, the German foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, on Tuesday said she condemned the Iranian missile attack on Israel in the strongest possible terms, saying that Iran must stop the attack immediately.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are, not understanding. This war has already escalated past the point of no return. This isn't going to end in a few days. This isn't going to end in tomorrow or the day after. So Biden and Harris need to get out of their cocoon and realize we're already in a war. We're already in a massive war. This isn't like, a time, to stop the escalation. It's already escalated. It's too late to go back.
Baerbock said, we have
We have to use this as an opportunity to destroy the terrorist regime in Iran.
urgently warned Iran about they're aiming weaponry at them. Meanwhile, the Associated Press doing yeoman work on behalf of terrorists. They've put out a headline. That headline is, quote, breaking. The Israeli military says Iran has fired missiles at Israel and air raid sirens are sounding across the country. I mean, says. I mean, says Iran has fired. Like, everyone can see the missiles being launched and dropping. Absolute absurdity. Again, there's this misperception that the West has about the Middle East, which is that the way that things get done over there is
He says they save Jewish people and the policy supports you.
workable peace agreement that has emerged from diplomacy alone. The only durable peace agreements that have ever been achieved in the history of the Middle East are ones where either the parties were not at war in the first place, like the Abraham Accords, or ones where Israel beat the living hell out of its enemies so badly that basically the other side just gave up and decided that they'd rather sign a treaty than continue with warring. That'd be Egypt and Jordan, who have both been taken off the table.
Okay, Peter Yusuf Khan says, terrorist regime is occupied Palestine. Get your facts right. I know Palestine doesn't exist.
People believe that the way that you actually solve problems with Iran is to talk with the Ayatollahs. Please name me a time when this has worked ever in human history. I'm still awaiting an answer on that one.
Jason says, be strong, stay safe. We Indians are with you.
We're actually picking up the rockets. There is footage of them picking up the rockets. We'll get that as soon as possible. It's somewhat funny, darkly funny that people are simply just going up to these fired pieces of ordnance and picking them up.
All right, hold on. I'm going to bring you some more video. This satirical account posted something interesting. Iran's largest power plant. Okay, this was 3 hours ago. Breaking Gaza. About 80 terrorists, some armed, are trying to storm the Nasser quarter in central Gaza. The IDF has put on alert and is preparing a scenario of a raid on the outpost. The IDF is expanding the operation in Lebanon, on the northern border. Wow, so they're really on all fronts right now. A Palestinian who infiltrated Israel from Gaza was killed by an Iranian missile in the Jericho area. Is that not ironic Ironic, sorry. A Palestinian who infiltrated Israel from Gaza was killed by an Iranian missile in the Jericho area. So he gets out of Gaza and then gets killed by the people who pay him to kill Israelis. Israel's airspace has been opened. Now that means that they assume that it's slowed down, or basically the Iranian attack has pretty much ended. Gaza right now. Laugh now, cry. Laugh now, cry later. That is exactly what's going on. And it's pretty obvious that Israel will respond in a strong manner, probably, and they're not going to be laughing for a very long time. And this just goes to show these are young kids. They are indoctrinated and they're told to hate Israel, and therefore, when Israelis are being killed, they are celebrating. Ernst Khomeini has been moved to a secure location because probably he would be the target, or possibly, I would say, Iranian oil or Iranian their nuclear facilities would be the target that I would strike. Let's go to Dr. Eli David. He's an incredible pro-Israel account who posts all the updates. Your place in line. Khomeini, okay, he's breaking former defense minister Avigdor Lieberman. Israel must respond immediately and destroy all Iran's nuclear and oil infrastructure. Again, like I said, that would be the most impactful attack, and it wouldn't necessarily have to kill civilians in the process. Israel will soon launch a massive attack on the Islamic Republic. Well, the Iranians seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rise up and get rid of this terror regime once and for all. He's talking about the pro-Israel Iranians that will sometimes rise up against the Islamic Republic because of their terrible oppression of civilians. Remember this day, October 1st, 2024. It will be remembered as the beginning of the end of the Islamic Republic terror regime in Iran. A lot of this, some hopeful flinking. Innocent Palestinians. Not even hiding it. Wonder who's posting that, but they're not even hiding the fact that they hate Israel, and they're happy when Israeli civilians die. I condemn the broadening of the Middle East conflict. Antonio Guterres. We absolutely need a ceasefire. How stupid. Israel is being attacked, and he says, well, I condemn the broadening of the Middle East conflict, basically assuming that he's probably talking about Israel is continuing this. We absolutely need a ceasefire. Oh, so, Iran attacks Israelis, and then he wants a ceasefire. Garrett Wilders is incredible. We stand with Israel. Stay safe. # Israel. We love you. The video in reverse, there are Israelis interceptor missiles being launched. The explosions you see in here are the ignition of the interceptors. If these were hits, you would see huge explosions, fire, and smoke. Oh, interesting. So this video is in reverse. So meaning a lot of these are being intercepted. I saw this video and thought, originally when I saw this video, I thought that a lot of Israelis were being killed, but it seems that Dr. Eli David reports, breaking Iran launched 160 ballistic missiles on Israel. No casualties in Israel. 1 Palestinian in Jericho killed. 160 missiles, 1 Palestinian killed. Well done, Iran. And I like that post. That was a great breakdown. 95% of Iran's oil export is through the tiny Karg Island in the Persian Gulf. Here's a nice before photo of it. After photo coming soon. Let's see. I want to go to this other Mossad account. Palestinian Arabs take selfies with Iranian. So they find it funny. They find it funny that Israelis can be killed and hundreds of missiles can be launched into Israel. During this moment, there is no place I would rather be than Israel. On top of the rockets, there was a terror attack in Yaffo. 8 confirmed dead. Wow. just like that person commented a while back. Another suspected attack in Herzliya. Strap in. We're in for a long one. May the blood of the victims be avenged. We'll update when we can. Am Yisrael Chai. The nation of Israel lives. Okay, let's go back to Ben Shapiro's live stream.
Figure. He was responding to Antonio Guterres. He said, "You've got to be kidding. You condemn the broadening? You just aren't able to blurt the simple words. I condemn the Islamic Republic of Iran, who just shot roughly 180 deadly ballistic missiles toward the citizens of Israel. Quit." True enough, the United Nations, the Mos Eisley of international politics. Truly bad. So meanwhile, Israel has been deterring Iranian resupply planes from reaching Lebanon. Earlier today, a cargo plane from the Islamic Republic of Iran was headed for Beirut. And the Israelis said, if you do that, we're going to shoot it down. It turned around and went back. Meanwhile, again, if this attack had been more successful, it would have led to a broader...
May Lord protect Israel and all Israelis from Beirut.
I really do not think that Israel is going to sit around on this at this point. Now, again, Iranian press TV claimed over 400 missiles were launched at Israel. You're hearing from Israeli sources 180 missiles. That just as in the last round of attacks, only about half of the missiles actually fell where they were supposed to fall. Right? That half of them may have fallen on the way, fallen inside Iran, and all of the rest. Yeah, the idiots of the squad, we are waiting comment from them. But presumably they will have to wait until Israel responds to then declare that Israel is very, very bad. Bezalel Smotrich, leader of one of the right-wing parties, he says, "I will now demand in the cabinet discussion that a family member..."
James Edam says, "Blessings to Israel. Blessings to you, James Edam."
Tonight, and their home should be turned into ruins for them to see. Again, that is in response to a terror attack that happened in Jaffa, which is just south of Jerusalem. I mean, just south of Tel Aviv, rather, that killed some 8 people. So, again, we are awaiting more word. We're supposed to have Douglas Murray on shortly. There's some other sources on the ground that we should probably reach out to. Sorry, I'm coordinating with my producers in real time. This is live coverage of...
It's not easy to do a live when you're, just getting very, very new information. None of this is like all concrete.
Of course.
It's crazy concrete. All right. Okay, it seems like
so
figuring stuff out.
We are. It is amazing that we are now what 2.
Wow. So a lot of people are watching that live stream. A lot of people are interested in it. Trending, obviously, Iran is trending. 1.17 million posts all over Twitter. Oh, don't. That Biden-Harris telling Iran don't didn't work. Yes, that is the infamous time that Biden says don't, and the countries always do. He never gets what he wants, and poor Biden just sitting there. Please don't attack. It's like that's the weakest statement you can ever make.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Trump would say, like, if you attack, you're finished. We're going to nuke you. That's the type of statement you need from a president.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Palestinians in the West Bank jubilant, shouting Allahu Akbar as Islamist #Irani regime missiles rain down on #Israel, but otherwise they want peace with Israel? ? Obviously, that's ludicrous. They don't want peace with Israel. They hate Israel. Missiles hitting Israel right now are the same ones that Biden and Harris worked to lift UN sanctions on the first month he took office. They said it would help promote diplomacy with Iran. I think what Biden and Harris don't understand is that the only diplomacy Iran wants is diplomacy. There is no diplomacy that they want. They want the destruction of Israel, and that's the only thing that they'll settle for. And more those aren't necessarily hitting. A lot of those are being intercepted by the Iron Dome, so I wouldn't worry too much. 95 again, Dr. Ellie David. 3 sirens in a row now in Tel Aviv. Carl Nehammer, I don't even know who this is, says that he supports Israel. Hillel Fold says this is the end of Iran. And a lot of people are saying that this is a, Naftali Bennett responds to Antonio Guterres. You've got to be kidding. You condemn the broadening. You just weren't able to blurt the simple words. I condemn the Islamic Republic of Iran, who just shot roughly 180 deadly ballistic missiles towards the citizens of Israel. Quit. Very true. He couldn't even say, "Oh, Iran just hit Israel with 180 ballistic missiles." He just says, I condemn the general broadening, which could easily mean Israel, could easily mean Iran, because he doesn't want to condemn Iran. Obviously, I'm sure he gets paid very well by them.
אני התקשרתי למשטרה,
In the city of Gadara.
ואמרתי להם, שר אהרונסון 7, ודבורה אומר 4.
Remember, it's nighttime in Israel, so that's why all these videos look very dark.
כן, אני רואה את הבקע. אני רואה את הבקע, כן.
Interesting. Okay, let's go back to the live stream. I think he said he'd have Douglas Murray on. Hopefully.
Spokesperson Daniel Hagari said this attack will have consequences. We have plans. We will operate at the place and time we decide. Now, again, that should scare the hell out of the Iranians, considering that Israel has such extraordinary intelligence penetration into Iran. It may not happen tonight, may not happen immediately, and it may be that one day Ayatollah Khamenei decides to light up his vibrator and explodes.
Piyush Kumar says India always with Israel. Appreciate it.
Strange place. Meanwhile, again, President Trump has put out a statement at this time saying the world is on fire and spiraling out of control. We have no leadership, no one running the country. We have a non-existent president in Joe Biden, a completely absent Vice President Kamala Harris, who is too busy fundraising in San Francisco, a city in which she and Gavin Newsom totally destroyed, staging fake photo ops. No one is in charge. It's not even clear who is more confused, Biden or Kamala. Neither has any idea what exactly is going on. Let's see. I am going to try to... Producers, I have a guest for us. And you're watching the sausage being made. This is what happens when you go live. So, producer Justin, you have just been sent a contact information.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to go live when you're dealing with a bunch of.
So let's see if we can grab Amit Segal. Again, President Trump's statement goes on, quote, "When I was president, Iran was in total check. They were starved for cash, fully contained, desperate to make a deal. Kamala flooded them with American cash. Ever since, they've been exporting terror all over and unraveling the Middle East." Again, I think it's important to point out that Joe Biden this week, yesterday, was telling the Israelis to back down. Like just moments ago. In fact, he said we need a ceasefire. There's a comment that our not all there president made literally yesterday. He was obviously very ticked at the Israelis for having the temerity to defend themselves. He had suggested also, by the way, that Israeli strikes on Yemen were actually dock worker strikes because he doesn't know what's going on a regular basis. A journalist asked him, Israel may now launch a limited ground operation in Lebanese territory. Are you aware of this? Are you comfortable with their plans? And Biden replied, this is a direct quote, "I'm more aware of that than you think. I'm comfortable with them stopping. We need a ceasefire now." That is not exactly the way that it works over there. Again, but President...
And then this video right here.
Mr. President, will you deploy more U.S. troops to the Middle East?
Mr. President, has Netanyahu gone too far?
Any comment on the strikes in Yemen, Mr. President?
Both sides have got to settle the strike. Work the collective bargaining effort, I think they'll settle the strike.
So he said that essentially that he wants them to settle the strike, collective bargaining, meaning that it's like a car strike or a worker strike and not like a military strike, which it was. So he's obviously lost his rambles. I'm going to go back to Twitter. Hold on. Okay, let's go back to Ben Shapiro. Endless lines of cars for gas stations. Will be gone soon. And that is a good sign. Iranians are, terrified. They're basically going to get some gas because they know that there might not be any gas in the country very soon. That's interesting. Okay, America stands with Israel. Mike Pence. Breaking: Iran fired tens of missiles on Israel's Dimona nuclear reactor. All were intercepted. I wonder how many of Israel's missiles on Iran's nuclear plants will get intercepted. So actually, Iran doesn't have such a strong missile defense system compared to Israel. So it's not, that makes sense. The IRGC just bombed a Palestinian Arab near the town of Jenin. Here are the innocent Palestinians standing on the Iranian attack on Israel. This entire society needs to be denazified. They are evil to their core. Okay, yes. Back to the live stream.
Word from Douglas Murray. He should be joining us sometime in the near future to discuss what is going on the ground over there. Also try and get in touch with some Israeli journalists to get in touch with them as well. And if I pause while I'm talking, once again, it's because I'm trying to figure out live exactly how to contact some of the prospective guests.
All right, so he's trying to figure out which guests. Hold on. Let's go to Trump. Let's see if he put out another statement. Donald J. Trump. All right, again, he put that ad. He pinned it. He got 3.7 million views. Let's see any other world leaders, maybe. Hold on. Israel, trending, obviously. It's been trending for the last, 3 years. Can raw footage watch the Iranian into the old city of Jerusalem, Christians and Jews. And a lot of people are saying that Israel is saving a lot of holy sites recently, and without their intervention, a lot of these places would be destroyed because they're being targeted by Iran, who claims to care so much about them, but obviously doesn't care so much about these sites. Iranian Muslim Christians will take every necessary measure to protect people of Israel. Carl Nehammer, I don't know who that is. He seems like he's not sure, but I strongly condemn it. Antonio Guterres, again, is a joke. He wrote he condemns the escalation, not the fact that Iran is hitting Israel. No, this isn't hit of Israel. This isn't a science fiction movie. This is Israel right now. I'm just waiting on Ben Shapiro to get on Douglas Murray. I want to hear what he has to say in real time.
It's indicative of what happens when a first world nation goes directly at a third world group of barbarians. Senator John Fetterman, who again is the great shock of our political age, he was perceived by me and others as a far leftist on virtually every issue when he was running for Senate in Pennsylvania, has put out a tweet, quote, "Any move Iran makes against Israel, my voice and vote follows Israel to ensure they have whatever resources they need, whether that's military, financial, or intelligence, to prevail over terror." Man, John Fetterman, amazing, truly amazing. It's kind of incredible, frankly, how wrong you can be about somebody like John Fetterman. Now, I am talking with friends, in real time in Israel. They are all fine. Thank you for asking. I see people who are commenting and asking about it. And they are all so far good. Nobody has been hurt in Israel except for in this awful shooting in Jaffa, which undoubtedly was coordinated with the Iranian government. The timing was too close for it not to have been coordinated with the Iranian government. Again, the video we have footage of people who are literally picking up these rockets. I mean, these are large weapons, folks. This is not, small, cheap $50 rockets that were shot at the state of Israel from Hezbollah territory or from the Gaza Strip. It's something very, very different. Again, it's look at the size of this rocket. Now they're cheering, presumably. I'm not sure why they're cheering. Are they cheering that the rocket fell because it's in their area?
Facts. They might actually die, and then I'm sure they won't cheer so much. Let's see what Netanyahu has to say. He released a statement recently. I don't know Hebrew, but it seems like they're preparing for that. Let's see the IDF official page. Hold on. All right, they're releasing approximately 10 million civilians are on the targets of Iranian projectiles. Hezbollah is upset the IDF exposed their plans to massacre Israelis, so they decided to target civilians by finding launching a barrage of rockets.
The Hezbollah terrorist organization in Lebanon launched an
Okay, mass shooting in Tel Aviv. Again, 8 people were murdered. And these are the terrorists right here. It's a train station. These are the terrorists who murdered innocent people in Tel Aviv. There's a plan who dares to tell us to ceasefire and stop. Go to hell. We're going to crush them. We're going to end every single terrorist wherever they are. There will be no rules of war or humanitarian laws to protect them. This will end now. Cheryl from Israel. Shooting incident in Tel Aviv. According to reports, 5 Israelis killed and at least 17 injured. And that has updated to 8 Israelis killed and many more injured. Hold on.
Now? Here he is. Do we have him, Meet?
Yeah. Hi, Ben.
Hey, how are you? So it seems like you guys have been having a fun night over there. Why don't you give me the update on the ground from the latest you're hearing?
So what we see now from here, from Israel, is that almost 200 ballistic missiles have been fired from Iran to Israel. None of them caused any serious damage. 95% of the missiles, give or take, I think more than 95% were actually fell or got by our air defense systems. And the dramatic photos and videos that you actually see is just the remains of the missiles, but no injuries, no casualties. Thanks God and the Israeli Defense Forces.
So, I mean, there's been a lot of talk in the Western press. I'm sure you're going to see some from the Biden administration suggesting that Iran had pre-coordinated this with the West, that they had basically given big warning, that they had said that they didn't mean to kill anybody. This was basically their way of trying to reestablish deterrence with Israel after Israel has absolutely devastated Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and in Lebanon more generally, that this somehow should forestall an Israeli response. What are you hearing in terms of an Israeli response to this Iranian attack? What do you make of the argument that Iran wasn't really attempting to hurt anybody? It was just sort of a fireworks show.
No. It's the most expensive and dramatic firework in the Middle East history. What they really tried to do is to actually attack and destroy 3 different Air Force bases in Nevatim, Ramat David, and Hatzerim, and the Mossad headquarters in Glilot, 5 minutes from Tel Aviv. So they actually tried to cause a huge damage. And therefore, I think the response would be, should be, and must be the most dramatic attack made by the Israeli Air Force on Iran's soil. And I'll explain. In the past, Israel was frustrated because for many, many years it was attacked. It has been attacked by the arms of the octopus. But the octopus itself never suffered from a direct Israeli hit. There were mysterious incidents, but Israel has never taken any responsibility. Now it changed. And 3 minutes ago, the IDF spokesperson said, Ben, and I never heard him speaking like this, that the Israeli Air Force will act all over the Middle East this night. And I think it's quite clear which part of the Middle East he means.
So, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about what exactly that strategy looks like. Obviously, Iran's 2 major assets are its nuclear facilities and its oil refineries. There's been a lot of talk about the possibility of Israel either bombing the oil fields, bombing the oil refineries, essentially throttling the Iranian economy in response to this, or possibly going in directly after the Iranian nuclear facilities. That, of course, has been the talk of Israel for the better part of 2 decades at this point. It seems like there's not going to be a better opportunity for Israel to actually destroy the Iranian nuclear facilities if they have the capacity to do so. And obviously, tonight goes very differently for Israel if there's a nuclear warhead on one of those missiles.
Exactly. So question is, if Israel has the ability to attack Iran's nuclear program, I doubt it, and I don't think this is the case for tonight. But I do think it's going to be something focused on Iran's economy, aka the fossil fuel, etc. And therefore, I think that Iran misunderstood Israel exactly the way Nasrallah, Iran's puppet, misunderstood Israel. He was sure Israel will never attack and will never invade Lebanon and will never kill him, and it happened. And I think the Iranian regime, as we see from their comments tonight, they think this is the revenge for assassinating Nasrallah, Haniya, and the rest of the terrorist leaders. But they don't understand that Israel will and must retaliate. So they once again, they don't understand how Israel has changed dramatically since October 7th, 2023.
When you look at the possibility of further action, obviously Israel has tremendous intelligence penetration inside Iran as well. There's a reason that Ayatollah Khamenei went into hiding after the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. There are a lot of dissidents on the ground in Iran. There are a lot of intelligence assets that Israel's been able to work up inside Iran. The funniest story of the week was ex-president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad saying that there was actually an anti-Mossad branch.
All right, let's move on. Again, I think Dr. Eli David, an incredible pro-Israel account. I recommend you follow him. He has some more updates. This is digging his grave, Khomeini digging his grave. That's a meme right there. Endless line of cars for gas station in Tehran tonight. They know that Iran's oil infrastructure will be gone soon. This is Iranian former, the prince of Iran with Amichai Chikli. Amichai Chikli. He's the foreign minister of the Israeli government. Breaking Iran fired tens of missiles on Dimona's nuclear reactor. I wonder how many Israeli missiles, and they all were intercepted. Again, I wanted to go back to what he said about the stats, about basically, hold on. Breaking, Iran launched 160 ballistic missiles on Israel. No casualties in Israel. One Palestinian in Jericho killed. 160 missiles, one Palestinian killed. Well done, Iran. He has a point there. Let's see if anyone else corrected him. Islamic Republic, not Iran. Iranian stands with Israel. Very true. Let's move on. Again, I don't think the IDF has said anything like with Daniel Gari. No official statement. I'm assuming they're waiting for more information. Iran is trending on Twitter, obviously. See if Khomeini said anything. In the name of... No, okay. I offer my congratulations to the honored family and esteemed colleagues of this dear martyr, and I pray for God's grace to be bestowed upon them. I think that this is probably talking about the attack on... Oh, here. A dead general. Okay, Brigadier General. Hold on. Iran couldn't stop the joy at this Jerusalem wedding even for a moment. This is in a bunker. Very true. He's another pro-Israel guy. I've set Jerusalem on your walls, as I predicted. Okay. All right. World War III is trending. People think that this is the beginning of a massive war, although they don't realize that it was already a big war. Hit by massive Iranian attack, over 400 missiles have been launched at Iran. That's a number I have not heard yet. We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe. We did. Again, Trump released a statement saying that the world is on fire and it's Kamala and Biden's fault. These are the terrorists. World War III trending. Hold on. Okay, let's go back to the live stream.
Fled from Gaza because of the results of the Iranian terror fueling.
So when you look, meanwhile, at the action that Israel has taken in Lebanon, Israel is reestablishing not only its deterrence, it's demonstrating the full weight of its might in the aftermath of October 7th. You know, watching very closely what was happening in Israel in the era after October 7th, there's a lot of doubt worldwide, particularly in the region, but also even within Israel, about the capacity of the intelligence. Why did October 7th happen? Capacity of the IDF, all sorts of questions being asked about why the response on October 7th wasn't better. Why weren't things going better in the Gaza Strip? Now, almost a year out, what we can see is that the performance of the IDF and the IAF has been absolutely astonishing. The operation in the Gaza Strip has cost too many young people their lives. It's cost too many young people their limbs. But the total number of Israeli dead in the Gaza Strip right now, numbers in the relatively low hundreds. The total number of Palestinian terrorists who have been killed by the Israelis, numbers in the well over 20,000 range. Meanwhile, in the course of the last 2.5 weeks, Israel has basically eviscerated the entire upper echelon of Hezbollah. They've taken out virtually all, apparently, of their long-range munitions, and they're currently clearing southern Lebanon, which is something that we're now finding out they were doing for the past year. They were doing small-scale operations into southern Lebanon in an attempt to sort of set up the preliminaries for the operation that's taking place right now. Can you speak to Israel's position in the Middle East right now, during and after all this action?
On October 7th, 2024, Israel was in its weakest point ever, I think. The deterrence, this invisible thing that you can't see it, but you can smell it, was hindered by the fact that the weakest enemy of Israel, Hamas, massacred 1,200 Israelis, broke the entire Israeli army for a day, which is amazing. And then Hezbollah started firing, and the Houthis from Yemen and Iran. I think that was on October 7th, 2023. On October 1st, 2024, Israel's deterrence, I think, has recovered dramatically due to the fact that it actually cut off Hamas's lifeline, destroyed Hamas as a terror army, and in 2 weeks took from Hezbollah the abilities that were built for 20 years, that have been built for 20 years. And I think the whole world sees it. And I would like to offer an explanation, because maybe your audience might wonder, if Israel's deterrence is stronger than ever, how come Iran tried to attack Israel tonight? And the answer is that here's the proof. For the first time in its history, in 2024, Iran had to attack Israel in itself, without hiding behind its proxies. So because we broke one proxy and we are on our way to break yet another proxy, and we're attacking
المطار راح يا ولاد، راح المطار، راح مطار مفاتيم راح. ابو حمزه ولع سكاره من الصاروخ، سكارته من الصاروخ مشان يقولوا اذا قلت اني ولعت من صاروخ. احنا بنحكي الله اكبر الوضع كثير صعب. الله اكبر اقسم بالله ما احنا بنحكي الله اكبر الوضع كثير صعب. الوضع كثير صعب.
...241 American Marines in the Beirut barracks bombing in 1983. Their deaths were never avenged by America. America put out bounties for them, but nothing was done to find these people. It took the IDF decades later, to finally get revenge and get the people who killed American servicemen in the line of duty in Beirut in 1983. And to my mind, this points to something very important that Benjamin Netanyahu said when speaking in Congress in front of the joint sessions in July, where he said, "Our fight is your fight, and our victory will be your victory." And I think this is a reminder of that. Israel's current and ongoing victories are also America's victories.
Yeah, and Douglas, one of the most astonishing things about this conflict has been the bizarre desire by the Biden administration to basically hold the leash on Israel, tell them they shouldn't go into Rafah and finish off Hamas, tell Israel it should take the victory. The last time that Iran shot a wide barrage of missiles at Israel, I'm fully expecting that you will hear some sort of language like that coming out of the Biden administration shortly. So far, they've been silent. Perhaps they're waiting for Israel to take the action and then say the thing. Joe Biden keeps repeating the word ceasefire as though it's the word Beetlejuice, and suddenly Beetlejuice is going to appear. If he says ceasefire enough times, then magically everything will heal in the Middle East and he can go back to sleep in Rehoboth Beach. But the simple fact of the matter is that what Israel is doing through its massive escalation against Hezbollah is actually making the region significantly more peaceful for the foreseeable future. The possibility of reopening the Abraham Accords to Saudi Arabia, the possibility of Lebanon itself actually being turned into something livable, the possibility even of something as dramatic as an Iranian revolution. These sorts of things become possible when Western powers stand up for themselves.
Yes, and everyone had hoped that the Americans would be among the most important allies, would be alongside Israel all the way in this. And as you mentioned, they haven't been. We've had the situation now for a year, which, for instance, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have said you're allowed to retaliate, but not too much. We had, of course, Kamala Harris saying the Israelis shouldn't go into the Hamas stronghold of Rafah, because if you remember, she said she'd studied the maps, something which I'm sure no IDF colonel has ever done. And then we have this call for a ceasefire now, and it's flat out wrong. When you are winning, you have to push for total victory. And that's what the Israelis, I hope, are doing at the moment, what they should be doing. The Iranian ballistics being hurled at Israel as we speak are a demonstration, as we just heard, of Iranian revolutionary government weakness. All of their proxies have now been destroyed. Their proxies of Hezbollah are totally destroyed. Their proxy in Yemen, almost totally destroyed. The proxy in Hamas, almost totally destroyed. This means that Iran, the Iranian revolutionary government, which is holding that country hostage, values freedom. And I've just add one other thing to that, which is, we have heard routinely in the last year from Biden and others, they always do the same thing. Ceasefire, important not to escalate, and much more. Flat out wrong. You don't have a ceasefire when you're winning. You don't have a ceasefire when your enemies are on their knees. You do not have a ceasefire when your enemies are on the brink of total destruction. It is not the case that peace is always the answer. And I would cite the book of Ecclesiastes for that very, very important moment. There is a time for all things upon the earth. There is a time for war and a time for peace. This is a time for war, and it should be a war to annihilate the enemies of Israel and the United States. And I, at any rate, hope that war can end.
Yeah, Douglas, I think that final point is the one that I think is the big one. What Israel is doing right now is a complete rejiggering of the Western way of war back to what the Western way of war used to be decades ago, which is actually pursuing victory. It's been a very long time since anyone in the West actually even mentioned the word victory. Netanyahu has said over and over and over, we will win. The Israeli public is behind him in his attempts to win so that they don't have to fight this again tomorrow. If the West would take the lead from that, the world would be a much better place.
Absolutely, and amen to that.
Well, that's Douglas Murray. Go check out all of his work, of course, over at Douglas K. Murray on Twitter. And, of course, check him out at the New York Post.
All right, so that's Douglas Murray and Ben Shapiro discussing what just happened. I want to go to this is actually very interesting. Hopefully YouTube doesn't censor it, but it's just a video of the attack on Jaffa where the terrorists murdered 8 innocent Israelis. This video themselves shooting into the and as Ben Shapiro said, it was probably coordinated, and this was all part of their plan. I want to also show. Hold on. I want to also show the same video. There's one other video I wanted to show. This is a video of the IDF basically deliberating after this attack. I don't think there's sound, but seems like they're discussing what to do. That guy has a major frown on his face. Okay, so again, Israel was attacked in a major way, and Israel will respond. If there's any more updates, we'll update you. Subscribe to the channel for more, and thank you for joining the live. Be sure to join more live streams for more updates in the future.